Okay, the next module on data modeling. Understand custom and standard objects. Okay, this is the lightning experience. That's good. We will learn how to describe the perks of using objects on the Salesforce platform, explain the difference between standard objects and custom objects, and list the types of custom fields an object can have. Okay. Overview of objects. Dreamhouse is a realty company that provides a way for customers to shop for homes and contact real estate agents online. Dreamhouse brokers use some of Salesforce's standard functionality, like contacts and leads, to track home buyers. But when it comes to selling houses, there's a lot more things they want to track. For example, Salesforce doesn't include a standard way to track properties. How is Dreamhouse supposed to know which homes they have for sale or how much each home costs? Luckily, their Salesforce admin, D'Angelo, knows that the Salesforce platform offers a solution. We'll work with D'Angelo to see what he's building. Let's start with the data model. A data model is more or less what it sounds like. Okay, just reading that, I don't know about you, but like data and model are two words that I don't think go together from what it sounds like. But if they mean it's a way to model what database tables look like in a way that makes sense to humans. If you're not familiar with databases, how'd you know? Think about storing data in a spreadsheet. Got that? For example, D'Angelo can use a spreadsheet to track all of Dreamhouse's properties. Columns can store the address, cost, and other important attributes. Rows can store this information for each property that Dreamhouse is selling. Databases, tables are set up in a similar way. But looking at data and tables isn't ideal for humans. That's where the data model comes in. But in Salesforce, we think about database tables as objects. We think about columns as fields and rows as records. Why? We think about database tables as objects. Okay, so tables and object. We think about columns as fields and rows as records. So instead of an account spreadsheet or a table, we have an account object with fields and a bunch of identically structured records. When we talk about the data model, we're talking about the collection of objects and fields in an app. Let's learn more about objects and fields so you can start building your own data model. Get to know objects. Salesforce supports several different types of objects. There are standard objects, custom objects, external objects, platform events, and big objects. Capital B, capital O. One word. Big objects. I'm really punchy. Like, Bago objects? Big O. Big. Anyhow. In this model, we focus on the two most common types of objects, standard and custom. In this module, okay, fine. Standard objects are objects that are included with Salesforce. Common business objects like account, contact, lead, and opportunity are all standard objects. Custom objects are objects that you create to store information that's specific to your company or industry. For Dreamhouse, D'Angelo wants to build a custom property object that stores information about the homes his company is selling. Objects are containers for your information, but they also give you special functionality. For example, when you create a custom object, the platform automatically builds things like the page layout for the user interface. understand that. Okay, so if you build a custom object, you have a user interface that goes, because theoretically that's just something that you built in a database. There's no law somewhere that says if you build something in a database, you therefore have to have a user interface to be able to see what's in that database. You could just be in that database and you can't see it, I guess. But lucky us, with Salesforce, it automatically builds that. Okay. Create a custom object. Let's work alongside D'Angelo to see how he builds a property object. We need this to be object, so don't skip the. We need this object later, so don't skip these steps. Okay. Okay, so my new Trello Playground is now available. This one's Resourceful Badger, as opposed to Playful Badger. Okay. We're going to create a custom field. Click the gear icon. Click the launch setup. Click the Object Manager tab. Click Create Custom Object in the top right corner. For label, enter property. Not one to type, I prefer to copy and paste. For plural label, type properties. Check the box for launch new custom tab wizard after saving this custom object. That's a long box. There it is. Leave the rest values as default and click Save. Select your desired tab style. Wowzers. This is properties. Is there anything with a house? Or how about a real estate sign? And click Next, Next, and Save. Next. Next. And save. Great job, you just created your first custom object. Okay. Now let's talk about adding fields to this object. Okay. What objects are alike. Tables are objects. Columns, table, write that down. Tables equal objects. Columns, rows, no, fields. records. That's spreadsheet. And that's Salesforce. This guarantees to be the boringest video I've ever made. Okay, get to know fields. Every standard and custom object has fields attached to it. I think field and I think like open area. And I could put an object on a field. So that makes sense to me. But I can't put a field on an object. Maybe this is just a database thing that I'm not getting, but it feels like you're doing the impossible. Place a field on an object. Okay. The metaphor's just not working for me. Get to know fields. Every standard and custom object has fields attached to it. Let's get familiar with the different types of fields. Okay. Field type, identity. A 15-character case-sensitive field that's automatically generated for every record. You can find a record's ID and its URL. Can I get an example? An account looks like, yeah, that. System field. Read-only fields that provide information about a record from the system, like when the record was created or when it was last changed. Created date, last modified by ID, and last modified date. Name, all records need names so you can distinguish between them. I feel like that's supposed to be profound. Adam named all the animals. You can use text names or auto-numbered names that automatically increment every time you create a record. So you're not really creating names, you're just creating a system to name things. Okay, so contact is Julie Bean. A support case's name can be CA1024. The next one would be CA1025. I don't know what CA stands for. Custom, fields you create on standard or custom objects. Fields are created in objects. Fields you create on standard. Fields you create. Yeah. You can create a custom field on the contact object to store your contact's birthdays. Identity system. That seems like overkill. Just write it down on a calendar. Identity system and name fields are standard in every object in Salesforce. System and name fields are standard in every object. Okay, so when you create a new object, you are automatically going to get identity system and name. Each standard object also comes with a set of pre-built standard fields. You can customize standard objects by adding custom fields. And you could add custom fields to your custom objects. Okay, every field has a data type. The data type indicates what type of information the field stores. Salesforce supports a bunch of different data types, but here are a few you'll run into. Every field has a data type. I could see myself running on a field. I'm on a field running into data types. Fields are on objects. Checkbox for fields that require simple yes or no. A checkbox field is what you want. Date or date time. These field types represent the dates or date time combinations like birthdays or sales milestones. Formula. This field type holds a value that's automatically calculated based on a formula you write. For example, D'Angelo can write a formula field that automatically calculates a real estate agent's commission on a home sale. Okay, that's cool. All right, so these are the data types that you'll run into on the field, which is on an object. A jar is an object. And there's a field on top of it. Again, there are quite a few field types, but most of them are fairly self-explanatory. Oh, you'd be surprised. The important takeaway here is that you want to think about what kind of data you're trying to store when you create a custom field. Okay. Like if you want to plant onions, you're going to want very rich soil. If you're going to plant blueberries, you want very wet soil. And if you're going to plant snap peas, ideally you'd like to do it in a field that's getting some cold weather, cooler weather. Okay. Fields, different types of data. I just compare data and vegetables. Create a custom field. The property object we just created is pretty bare bones. Let's add some custom fields to it. Head back to your Trailhead Playground. It never went away. From Setup, go to Object Manager Property. Hey, that's where I am. In the sidebar, click Fields and Relationships. Notice that there are already some fields there. There's a name field and some of the system fields we talked about earlier. Field name, data type, controlling. Okay, can I move this over a little bit more? Please. Okay, click New on the top right. On my screen, it's sort of towards the center. For data type, select currency. Property, new custom field, choose the field type. Currency. Allows user under a dollar or other currency amount and automatically formats the field as a currency amount. Okay, this can be useful if you export your data. If you export data to Excel or another spreadsheet, fine. Click Next. Fill the following. Field label, price. Description, the listed sale price of the home, period. check the required box. I was requiring this field in order to save a record. Click next, next. Click next, next again. It's really not next again. It's really just next. See? Just says next. And then save. You'll see your new price field in the list of property fields. Fields and relationships, that's what it says. Okay. You notice it says price C. The C part is an easy way to tell that a particular field is a custom field. Oh. So they add that on automatically. Let's create a property record to see what you did. Let's create a property record to see what you did. Doesn't feel like it makes sense. Let's create a property record to see what you did. Let's see this new object and field in action by making a new record. From the app launcher at the top of the page, select sales. Property tab. New, personalize your default list view with pinned lists. Okay. That's cool. Click the Properties tab in the navigation bar. If you don't see it, look for the more. Okay, got that. Click New in the top corner. Enter a name and a price and the property and click Save. Property and name. Wouldn't you want it to be like the address? Funky house. Aha, see? You'll see something like this. They put the address in there. But I would say proper name would be what would be the name of the house. My neighbor calls their house Funky House. They have a funky house. And it probably would go for $1 million. Housing prices in Seattle became crazy. I'm going to save that. Property Funky House was created. Customize responsibly. While it can seem easy to add custom objects, remember that what's going on under the hood is technically complicated. It's complicated. Here are some best practices to keep in mind as you start customizing your own org. Be thoughtful about names. Don't call it property if you want address. Once you start creating a bunch of objects, it can be tempting to give them lazy names. For example, if D'Angelo created another custom object to track condominiums, he might be tempted to name it property 2 instead of condominium. That's a recipe for confusion in your org. Give your objects and fields. Fields are built on objects. Oh, fields are built on objects. I feel like that scene from 1984 where you're like trying to no, that was a Star Trek. We were trying to memorize something that just doesn't make sense, but we're just going to say it makes sense. Or makes sense in some way that I don't understand. Fields are built on objects. Okay. How about your users? Even with careful naming, your users may not always be clear about the purpose of a particular object or field, or how fields exist on objects. Include descriptions for your custom objects and fields. For specialized or complicated customizations, use help text to give more details. Require fields when necessary. Sometimes you want to force your users to fill out a field when they're creating a record in a certain object. Every property needs a price, right? Make important fields required to avoid incomplete data. What if price is still being determined? They don't know yet. Then you're going to set it, and then it's not even for sure, and somebody's going to think that that's actually the price that they're going to be asking for. Okay. You'll be completing this challenge in your own Salesforce environment. Choose from the drop-down menu, then click Launch to get started. If you use Trailhead in a language other than English, the language of your Trello Playground to English before you attempt this challenge. Okay, that's challenging for those of you who do this challenge other than English. Want to find out more about using hands around? Okay, fine. When a home buyer makes an offer to buy a property, the brokers at Dreamhouse Realty need to track the details in Salesforce. Create a custom object so they can use to record the offer amount and target close date. Use the auto numbering to generate the name of each record. Okay, I'm going to stop recording here because I don't think I should show how to do this step by step on video, because I think that's part of the fun of Trailhead, is you get to do it your own. But I'll show you if I got the answer right at the end here. Okay, I think I did this. Moment of truth. And I'm honestly a little nervous. Yeah, I'm nervous. I mean, it's just... Holy... I can't believe I did it! Wow. That's great. Alright, next unit. We'll take a look at that tomorrow. Thanks, Trailhead. I feel cool.